guys, you're listening to Tea Time with Tay, a podcast series where I sit down, like I have a choice, brew some tea, and then spill it. Let's start the show.
Don't give up, it's gonna come around. Open up, you know the time is now. No more getting knocked down. Those days are over, you're getting closer.
Hey guys, thank you again so much for coming back for another episode. To all of my friends who I paid to listen to me, thank you for continually showing up on the interwebs. Today I am super excited because I have two guests that one that I'm learning I've already fallen in love with and one that I've known for a while. I have Michelle and I also have Janey. And Janey, you guys can Hey. Let me tell you the struggle that I have been having today. We're trying to figure out audio levels. So Michelle just tends to have a louder voice. This is something we just realized. She's looking at me like I'm like a mixed.
Don't tell. People don't know about that.
Oh, they know now.
Yeah, they're gonna find out.
Tea Time with Tay, available worldwide on iTunes and SoundCloud. It's great. But Janey is like so many things. Singer, songwriter, health and wellness teacher, and an advocate for anxiety. And so I'm just super excited to get into this. And Michelle, do you maybe want to talk about how this all came to be, kind of?
Sure. So I recently took a JOGA course, and Janey was my teacher, and she was amazing. And
JOGA, Janey, for anyone who might not.
Yeah.
Because JOGA was something that was really, when Michelle told me, she's like, I'm going to a JOGA class. I'm like, I have never heard of that.
I know, people think it's like jogging and yoga put together, which is totally not.
Oh,
That's what I thought the first time. I was like, how do you do that? But it's actually just a brand of yoga that's designed specifically for athletes, athletic minded people, athletic bodies, or just tight bodies, people that want to have more of an athletic style yoga practice added to their regimen, basically.
And when you say that it's more athletic, is it because it's more difficult, the positions, or?
It's a good question. Yeah, there's sort of a fine line between people saying that it's an athletic class and it's just hard yoga, or JOGA, which is difficult physically, but it's the postures themselves have been designed specifically to adhere to an athlete's body. So hard yoga anybody can do, but it's not necessarily appropriate for an athlete's body, the way that they're tight and the injuries that they've had and the bulkiness that they're dealing with, right? Whereas JOGA, it's really designed for that type of body, and so all the cueing and the postures and the sequencing is set up to improve their mobility and stability in the science of yoga and the biomechanics of movement in sport.
And a lot of the people that you work with are actually professional. You work with professional athletes, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Varying types of bodies, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, every athlete's different too. I mean, a golfer's body looks different than a football players,
For sure.
But a lot of my clients are professional athletes. I just worked with Gary Roberts' NHL camp this summer and last summer, and it was an amazing experience. He's an amazing guy, and the team that he has is incredible. So that was a nice highlight to my summer. And the other clients that I work with are just kind of here and there, somebody who's off season and they're whatever snowboarding.
Yeah. So Michelle, how did you hear about JOGA?
That's a good question.
my cousin does it, right? Yeah, Janey from back home.
I did know the story.
Small town of Mitchell.
Yeah.
And so my cousin does it, and I was just looking for something different. I'm a registered massage therapist, and obviously you know that.
No. Tell let him know.
And I was just interested in something different, and I don't know. I thought about it, and I went down. And Janey taught me a course, or a class, I should say, and I fell in love with it right away. I've always had really, really tight muscles, so stretching for me is a pain in the butt and uncomfortable and sore and uncomfortable. And anyway, so I took the course and it was awesome. It was great. Really liked it.
And so you said you started off with someone else? or it was just...
Oh, Denny, her cousin?
Yeah.
Her cousin.
Yeah.
Denny
So
she took the training as well, like
Yeah.
a few years back, and then she's saying that Denny, her cousin, taught her like a yoga class.
Yeah.
The thing that I taught was a 40-hour training so that she
I was
could
going to
then-
say, so
Yes.
how did you, when did you guys
Right.
meet? It wasn't even that long ago. So I
2
remember...
weekends. No, 3?
Was it 3
Like
weekends
3
ago? It was
weekends
the 18th of August.
Yeah.
Because when I tell you that when Michelle was done that, Michelle and I talk all the time, and when
Yeah.
she was done that class, she literally called me and she's like, first off, yoga, because I remember she's like, I'm going to go do yoga. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. Tell me how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll have a fun time.
Yeah.
And literally afterwards, she calls me, she's like, yoga is amazing. But even more so than yoga, you are going to love. She's already like, you guys have to meet. Like,
my God.
You need to know her because you guys are like would love each other, and like she was super enthusiastic about you because I guess of your style. But for you,
You know when you meet somebody
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this person's so cool.
Totally, dude. I felt the same way about all you guys that whole
we had
4-day weekend. Like
such a great group.
Yeah,
And yeah,
incredible.
I'm still in contact with a lot of them. They're,
Yeah.
They're awesome.
like sisters for life. Eh?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like for sure.
Yeah,
But,
and she
um,
told me the same about you, by the way. Like it was very much like when she found out I wanted to start doing podcasts and all that stuff. She's like, "You, my friend, like this is amazing." She told me all about you, and it was like a lot of praise. So this girl's all about the praise.
Michelle.
I know.
Got it, right? It's good.
I mean, that's what friends are for. So how did you? I know that you started with yoga. I think at a really young age, right?
Yeah, my training history actually like started when I was
How did you get into like health and wellness and the whole shebang?
Yeah, so I was I actually started out in gymnastics at age 5 and did competitive gymnastics till I was 10.
Okay.
And it was great, but it just wasn't for me. And I and then I got into kickboxing for about 8 years. And as soon as I got
That's
my
intense.
Yeah, it was intense.
Yeah.
It was super intense. And I competed a little bit in that, but my main thing was more like what I took from it was more like the discipline and the scheduling and the routine and I loved the belt grading system. Like I found that it motivated me. So as soon as I got my black belt, I was already moving to Toronto. I came from the small town of Brockville, Ontario, the region of the Thousand Islands.
Where?
Brockville, Ontario. It's like 3.5 hours east of Toronto in the Thousand Islands region.
You know what? I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Anything further than Scarborough or further than like Mississauga, I'm like I'm lost.
Yeah, fair enough.
In life, like I'm horrible. I'm directionally challenged. It's a well-known thing amongst my friends.
No, it's 100% cool. Like, not lots of people know Brockville, or they'll be like, I know Brockville, but it's really just because they're driving to Montreal or driving to Ottawa or driving,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like,
It's
no
like
one
on the
really
way.
knows it. Yeah, it's
Okay.
a very small town. But at the time, that's where I was training, and then I moved to Toronto, and I missed like that intensity of my coaches in my face, and like that sort of expected to be there and respect and discipline. I missed all that, so I jumped into Toronto's health and wellness scene, which wasn't the same as like your kickboxing and the hole in the wall like facility that you used to train at kind of thing with the smelly gloves. But the people were awesome, and the energy was great, and then really it was just like me kind of being in the scene a little bit. So one of my like mentors was like, hey, do you want to like start teaching? And I was like, sure. And so I taught fitness, and then pretty much a year later I started teaching yoga.
And what was that like for you, like the transition, because you're going from like a small town to like now you're thrown into the big city, and now you're thrown into the big city and you're teaching
Right.
and like meeting all these new people.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny. Okay, the small town aspect of it was like obviously it's a huge transition because I mean, a small town and a big city are just polar opposites. Like the engagement that you have with the people in a small town is it's like authentic in that you'll remember them and they know you, but it's inauthentic in that it's like you're talking about like the milk and like, oh, the milk was like
weather,
on sale
honey.
yesterday, but the day, you know what I mean?
The weather.
The weather.
Michelle's
Like,
from a small town
too.
yeah,
Always
it's the weather, right?
Yep.
I
Right.
would love it if any of you guys who are my Canadian listeners, Michelle comes from a place called Mitchell. I dare 2 people to honestly email me and write to me that they actually know where that is.
I have no idea where that is.
I don't
It's
know
insane.
if it's going to happen.
I have a lot of friends who listen to your podcast. and
Is
they're
it near
from-
Stratford?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like 20
Michelle's
minutes from
fr-
Stratford.
Michelle's friends
Everyone
don't
knows Stratford.
count.
Everybody knows Stratford because of Bieber and because of the
Shakespeare
Festival.
That's the only thing I knew from.
And I'm literally like 20 minutes away. Because of the festival or because of Bieber?
No, because of the festival.
the festival.
No, I did. Like, I guess when you say that, I remember it, but I didn't know. I didn't know that. If you didn't say that, I wouldn't have remembered that. But so fair enough.
Because that's what a similarity you both have is coming from a small town, right? And then similar
City
industries. But the thing that you partaken.
Have partaken?
Have partaken
The
in.
thing you went to where Janey was the instructor.
Yes.
You said it was a course. So what can you describe what the course is? And
Yeah,
is it just a one-time thing, or is it something that's ongoing?
I mean, it can be if you want to take another one, but essentially, what it is it's a 40-hour teacher training for aspiring teachers that want to teach yoga, essentially. So, what it is a breakdown of the sequence and sort of the whys behind each posture and how it applies to sports and how that would benefit an athlete. But it's also a lot of anatomy and sort of understanding the body a little bit better on a neural muscular level and a breathing level and alignment of bone and kinetic energy level, that kind of stuff.
And for you, Michelle, because I know you do a lot of classes and courses, how is it for you doing something like that different compared to the other things you've done?
I found it really neat because there's a lot of cues. So when I was doing a certain posture, constantly I was being cued, specifically from Janey, because she was the first person and it was just one-on-one. And she would constantly always be noticing that sternum lifted, and I couldn't believe that I was always rounding.
Yeah.
And so now it's if I do it wrong, what'd you say?
I didn't know. I just completely straightened up. I'm
Well, look at me, man. I mean, I teach and I'm over here
you're not though.
slugging.
No, you do, and I feel it now day to day. So I'll be working with a client, and I will notice that I am actually hunched, and it's like a comfortable zone.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'm tired or what, but right away I'll straighten up, and I just feel so much better.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
The awareness of the body is just as much a part of the program as learning what the body is and what things are called.
Absolutely.
And totally. It's amazing.
Because I've done a lot of yoga, but they never had cues like that.
Right.
I think that was the biggest thing that I always think of.
And I was going to say, it must be interesting when you are doing yoga with athletes, because athletes typically are more aware of their body, so maybe that even lends it to being a little easier for them to learn and pick up. Because sometimes when you have someone who might not have ever really used their body, it's let me just try a yoga class. You see how much they struggle because they're not in tune with their body. So it's a higher level of if you can do yoga, you've made it in life.
It kind of is, man, honestly, because the athletes struggle with it too. They know their body to a certain extent, and they know the break, especially if they've gotten injured. They learn a lot more about their body then.
Way more aware.
Right? Yeah. But they there's a lot that they don't know still. You know what I mean? And they're very, most of them, I'd say 99.9% of the athletes I've ever trained are very humbled when they take yoga. And humbled for 3 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They go in there with an expectation, and they're I got some work to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
exactly. Yeah, they get their butt kicked for sure. Yeah. So, but I mean, it'd be the same thing with me. If I tried to go on the ice, please.
That was me. Whenever people arguably gymnastics could be said to be one of the harder sports that's out there, and people oh, you must have been so good at everything, and I'm literally, if you handed me any kind of ball sport, hand-eye coordination, tennis, I couldn't skate, I couldn't swim. It was literally, I arguably couldn't do gymnastics. That's up for debate. But it's just it's so difficult when it's not your thing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You focus so much on certain body parts that you use, and then when you're applying it to other areas, it's just gonna be a no from me, dog.
Yeah.
We're just not there.
I know. I totally hear you. And I think that's the other thing too about gymnastics and kickboxing actually, is that it is a team sport, but it's also a lone wolf sport. You know what I mean? Whereas basketball and soccer and whatever, it's a different, and I do find that people that play team sports in terms of what we're talking about right now are kind of good at other team sports.
Yeah.
But they actually suck at things like dance or boxing, or I've seen a lot of team players.
Yeah, I don't
try
play
to do
well
boxing.
with others. Apparently, that's apparently not my thing. I swear I'm a nice person, just body wise, I was never really there, but it's okay. But
yeah, it is okay.
To the many dimensions of Miss Janey Brown, you are also a singer and songwriter.
Yeah.
I found myself bip-bopping to some of your songs.
Love it.
Over the past couple days. So how did you Michelle and I have always been always said like we wish you could sing and like take over the world. And apparently there's this audio recording of a happy birthday.
Oh God.
Oh my God! Someone
bring it
sent
up.
that to me last week.
That I really need to hear at some point.
Oh, yours. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about mine.
Oh yeah, no, it's beautiful.
It's your birthday.
yeah,
Your birthday.
yeah, no, that was
Is
beautiful.
there a live version coming now?
There may be.
No.
You should check your inbox later.
When it's your birthday.
Okay. I'll make sure to put that in a podcast.
Yeah, that'll be
That'll be
awesome.
great. That'll
Totally
be future
should.
podcast. Look out for it. Again, Tea Time Tay on iTunes everywhere. But so how did you first find out? Well, discover like your voice and like get into that as well.
It's really hard to say, honestly. I know, like, that's the cliche thing to say. It's like, I was singing since I was in the crib. But, like, I legit was. Like, my mom literally used to say that she'd hear me, like, singing in my room by myself, like, when I was a baby. You know what I mean? Which, obviously, I don't remember. But it's really hard to say. I remember...
It's always been a part of your life.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I remember, like, at 7 years old, like... making my family sit down on the couch and like performing the entire Lion King soundtrack with like, like Lion King was
my favorite movie.
Yeah.
I almost got a Hakuna Matata, like the symbol for Hakuna. I can't speak. I swear, like honestly, I get on these podcasts and I sound like I'm drunk because I can't speak. And like, literally, my mom has asked me before. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, I swear I'm doing okay.
There's alcohol.
Hakuna
in there.
Matata.
It's not just tea. There's
Oh yeah, I
alcohol.
forgot to say. Thank
Blueberry
you.
sherry.
Yeah, we're drinking Blueberry Jam by David's Tea, and I think we all are giving it a thumbs up, right?
Yeah, super
Yeah.
pumped about it.
Delish.
Shout out to David's Tea.
Shout out to David's Tea!
Damn.
Wow.
Great minds think alike, right?
Smells amazing also.
Anyways, the word was Hakuna Matata
Matata.
symbol because it means so much to me, so I totally relate.
Yeah.
But so you would make people sit down.
Yeah, so I've made my family and so I think and I actually then it evolved into like we had this front porch that looked like a stage, and it evolved into me like literally making little hand invitations and delivering them around the neighborhood and making people bring their lawn chairs.
Cute.
That is awesome.
And like perform. So it's evolved into that, and then my mom was like, Janey, I think you need to like kind of do this. This is cool, but like I think you need to be like on stage. And so she never forced me into anything. She just kind of said, hey, there's this audition for, our hometown theater. It's the Brockville Arts Center, and is for How to Eat Like a Child, which is like a, whatever. It was the director was amazing. He turned it into a musical. It's like, I think it's like a comic or something. And at age 10, I stepped onto my first public stage, and then every single year until I was 18, I did musical theater. Every single summer was just in rehearsals all summer, and then performing. Sometimes like up to 6 days a week, twice a day, every single year. And then age 18, I landed my first professional show that toured and was in college, I think, that same year. And I realized that I didn't want to do musical theater anymore. I was like, I want to write, I want to sing my own songs. And so that's kind of where the journey began. Shortly after, I moved to Toronto and fell into the health and wellness scene and started recording. So...
And the writing aspect of it, you said, was that something that came later for you?
I started writing when I was really young. Like, I remember writing poems and, like, really, like, crappy journal pages at like, maybe age 9 or something like that. And then when I got, I never really wrote songs or music or anything like that until I was about 17 or 18 when I had decided to leave college and be a songwriter. And, like, a couple mentors were like, so, you need to like start writing songs if you want to be a songwriter, right? Like poems are great and everything, but like,
let's move forward.
Yeah.
So I want to be a songwriter.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any songs? I mean, not yet.
I'm working on it.
Exactly.
The thought is there.
We're getting there.
And,
Did you take lessons or
Yeah, how do you
did he
like...
coach you towards it?
no.
You're singing either? Did you
No.
ever have
No.
Really?
Yeah. So now this is this is where it gets crazy, because that is something I regret, actually. The coaches in my hometown, I took like a few lessons here and there from like the town like choir like leaders or whatever. But the problem was that their style was very operatic, and I just didn't want to sing that. Like, I wanted to sing pop, I wanted to sing Christina Aguilera, Mariah Carey, all that stuff, and they just didn't know how to train me. And so I actually got kicked out of my lessons. Like, I remember the coach saying to my mom, like, I don't think she really wants to be here. You're wasting your money. And
She's not listening.
yeah, she's not listening.
She's
basically.
acting out.
Yeah.
We're trying to do theater, and she's singing I am beautiful.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Like getting it down.
Or like they'd give me, like first of all, there was no sheet music ever of the songs that I wanted to sing. It would be like Ave Maria and like something from Oliver and stuff.
You're bored.
So I was just like, and then if there was like a pop song that came out of nowhere and there was sheet music for it, they would play it very like, sort of
They
like,
change it. They change up the rhythm like a little bit.
Yeah, it's very like I don't even know, like musically correct, like in the time, like there's no like soul to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of my experience with coaches. I'd kind of do one-offs every now and then, be like, oh man, I should really like go back to voice lessons because I like should, and I just never found a coach that was able to really guide me into the direction that I wanted to go in and consistently do that with me and go on that journey. And so it was always these one-offs. And some of the coaches that I had, a couple of experiences, like they were just very like aggressive and mean and so old school. And it's just, to be honest, like that's the last thing you want to do for a singer. That's going to make them hide their voice and try and force. And so the thing that I regret about it is that in years later, I think it was 2013, I was teaching so many classes and they were all like high energy, pump, 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 and like music is loud and I'm like exhausted and like I'm screaming and I'm singing. I was in a record contract at the time in New York, and I just damaged my voice and I literally had to stop singing for like 8 months and had to quit my job, had to stop everything.
That's like probably the worst fear of when you
scared the hell out of me.
Strain your voice or like have a...
And 8 months.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be able to sing again. Like it was one of the most like depressing things I'd ever gone through, just because I just didn't know who I was without it. You know what I mean? And it's a huge blessing now. And I went through vocal therapy for 2 years, and that taught me so much about myself and my voice and how connected the voice is to you, and how like you are your voice and your voice is you. And like if you're going through trauma, like your voice is going to go through trauma. Like it's the extension of who you are and what you're going through and your emotions and where you're at mentally, So I just didn't get that before. Like I didn't have that kind of guidance, and I wish that I did, because even though I was able to teach myself the skills and trills and give myself the power behind my voice, I wasn't able to understand how to control it and set it free at the same time. And that damaged me ultimately. So
Interesting.
That'd be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Imagine it's like losing it's like literally your thing.
Yeah, and it was all I ever wanted. Like I came to Toronto because I was going to be a singer and perform and whatever. The wellness thing, it came just on the side. Like that came in lieu of me. Like I was like, I got to make money, and like here I am, like, and it's amazing, and it's been an amazing career, and I love it, and now I can't let it go.
Yeah.
Like that wellness side of me is like part of me. But the music and the performing and all of that was everything I'd ever known and all I wanted. You know what I mean? And it hasn't been till just recently where I'm like, I can own that I'm both of these things, and I'm going to keep just walking forward one foot at a time, you know?
Yeah.
And with your music, with people who may not be as familiar with it, how would you describe like your sound, or do you have like a sound direction? Because I feel like I heard some people
like 5 different pieces of music that sounded exactly the opposite.
It's a range. It's a range, and so I wasn't sure if you were gonna but I like that
too. The videos.
Oh yeah, very random.
Which is cool though. It's great.
So okay,
the versatility.
Yeah,
the versatility.
So this is like a whole other story, like which I'll try to like really like keep the details to the minimal. But when I started out recording, I guess it was 10 years ago, I started out in R&B and soul, and I did like a number of songs in that genre. And the person that I was working with, the producer, he wanted to be an artist as well, and so he couldn't commit his time to like developing a whole record and developing, doing artist development with me and making that a project that I would then go on and make
for sure
flourish. And so that was that, and so that kind of just ended, and I had to kind of figure something else out. And then so I then moved into industrial rock. I just kind of moved into a different phase altogether. I'm like, well, industrial rock is like,
if you were to give me an example of someone,
like Evanescence kind of.
Can I tell you that when I was younger, my first ever CD was Shaggy, and then it was O-Town, and then Evanescence. I just took like a really left turn, but I loved like Amy's voice.
Oh my god, amazing. And it's like very operatic, and I wasn't even trying to go that route, but at the same time, like the instrumentals more or less is what I'm talking about. It was yeah, it was
incredible.
like industrial like rhythms and sounding drums, but really rock. And then the vocals were more like a little bit more on the pop side and a little bit more on top of the mix instead of like buried into like a Slipknot vibe or something like that. You know what I mean? So it was a little like more lightcore than that. But so then I worked on that project for like 3 years, and I funded the whole thing by myself, and it was one of those things that it was like kind of a side project for the producers that I was working with, and you know, like, which I totally understand. It was a collaboration. I wasn't paying them, and so like bless their heart for taking that on with me. But I didn't really understand like how to budget money back then. Like it was just kind of this thing that's like, this is gonna work. I really believe in it. I'm going balls in, and it like didn't work, and I ran out of money, and then I got offered to be signed.
Oh.
But
See,
not for
so
this.
usually that's usually where the story takes a really bad turn.
Yeah.
And then I found myself living under a bridge, and I've been recovering ever
Begging
since.
firm.
It doesn't necessarily like take me to the stars next.
No, of course, but
I won't get too deep into detail with this. Maybe just for legality purposes.
Yeah,
but
we don't want to know
that
history.
just didn't work out. Let's just go that far. That was a 3-year term of a situation that just wasn't right for me, and it didn't work out, and God bless everyone involved. Like, we're all gone our separate ways, and we're happy, and it's fine. But it just that wasn't it either. But so you can see, like, there's the R&B, and then there's the industry rock, and then there's the music that was produced in that realm, which was, you know, more like pop rock. And then I moved into EDM and dance because it was the easiest thing for me to do by myself. Like, I'm in my room, I can record my vocals, send them off, they mix it there, they put it to the record, they release it the next day. Like, you know what I mean? It's super quick and super easy, and no one's schedules are involved. I don't have to answer to anybody. Like, I love that music genuinely. So, like, there's 4 different genres out there, but the thing is I was just like, so what am I going to do? Just sit on all this music and shelve it just because it doesn't coincide with like a congruent, you know, one congruent sort of sound? Yeah. That doesn't make sense. No. So I just decided I was going to release it all, and just like a painter who paints all kinds of different paintings, put out different types of art and music, and in different genres and in different personalities and in different sounds. And that's sort of why you hear this crazy range of random music from me, because that's the story of my musical journey. But I do want to get a full album together eventually, and I do have a bunch of songs that are ready for that project. It's just now about finding the right producer. And so one day I will like have my brand a little bit more together on the musical side of things. Yeah.
But I think the versatility though is nice, especially like I'm a kind of person who, if I feel like if I'm listening to an album or something, maybe not so much an album, but like a discography of an artist, and it feels the same, it gets a little bit boring. But when it's kind of like when you see the different genres, you see the growth of the artist, and it's like you're going on that journey with them. That's what I love, like when people evolve over time. So I think that's good too.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that. Like, I'm well aware that when people come to my, like, you know, Facebook fan page, they're highly confused about what's going on. But at the same time, I don't care, because I'm not looking for necessarily investment right now on anything. Like, eventually I will be when I have something that I want investment in, but I'm just kind of putting out like what I want, and for the purposes of entertaining the followers that have been with me since day one, and for purposes of sharing that piece of art at that moment of time, and just sharing that vibrational frequency, you know what I mean? So like, I don't think that there should be rules anymore, and I'm kind of sick of people pegging artists in this thing where it's like, well, you know, you have to choose, you have to put yourself, and it's like, we're multifaceted people, you know, with multi emotions. Like, why do we have to choose?
Yeah. And it's one thing if you didn't like the stuff that you used to do.
Right.
If you were totally just like, oh my God, that was terrible. Like, I need to get rid of it.
We're not going back there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But if you like it still and you're still into it, then yeah.
Yeah, like I think, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm more than happy to represent it, and represent it in a way that's like, this was something that I did, and like it or love it. If you don't like it, don't listen. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Yeah. You can do that.
You could have said it.
I wasn't sure.
There's like a quiet curse.
Anybody that knows me knows that I curse a lot, and I've really held it together in this.
No, you've been good. This has been like 30 minutes of like literally nothing. I'm surprised I haven't like slipped up yet.
Wait till we get the drinks in us.
I love you, mommy.
Yeah.
For people who are listening, where can they find you for your music wise?
Yeah. Well, my EDM and house music is on iTunes. Like if you just look under the name Janey Brown, it's, you know, you'll like music will pop up kind of thing. But a lot of my music is released on YouTube. So if you just, it's literally like youtube.com/Janey Brown, and you'll see like a slew of different playlists, and some of the playlists are just original music videos with my songs. Some of them are just songs and covers, and some of them are like, you know, wellness tips with me and my nutritionist, like talking about how shitty my eating habits are and like how I need to shape up because I'm supposed to be a wellness expert. Meditation
we need to get it together.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So you'll see a lot of stuff on there, like behind the scenes stuff and interviews and just.
And I'll be sure to link everything and all the places you can find Janey on my website, on my blog, taylorlnwrites.com, WRITES. And now, Janey, on top of everything that you're already doing, I literally don't know how you're doing all of this. Like, as a human being, like, you probably are ridiculously busy. So thank you so much again for being here.
Oh my gosh, my pleasure. I couldn't be happier to be here.
But I know that you're developing a coaching program that caters to people struggling with anxiety, which is something that, like, really interests me because I, for a really long time, suffered with, like, anxiety, and I still think I kind of do, but I feel like I'm a little bit in denial about it. I'm really good at covering up my emotions, and it's not something that's long-term a good thing, so I'm just, like, really interested.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you're not alone in like being good at covering up your emotions. I think we live in a society where we're taught that we need to just pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, and if you're uncomfortable, like override it. And I think we need to be really doing the exact opposite of that. And that's what yoga has taught me in the last, 10 years or whatever, is that it's okay to feel not okay. It's okay not to be okay. And it teaches you something about yourself, et cetera, et cetera. Where my journey came from with anxiety was, as you know, I was a child performer. Like I started out at 10, and I just didn't understand what it was. Like I didn't understand what it felt like, what it was, and it kind of manifested. It was on and off stage. It wasn't just like performance anxiety. It was anxiety within my life, but it did kind of manifest on stage in my, like, sort of around 14, like when you start to go to high school and get self-conscious and people say things and whatever. And I was so so my family, it's like their background were like Germans, and I was so ashamed of the fact that I was scared and that I was getting stage fright that I completely negated it. It was just like, I'm not scared, I'm completely fine, like I can do this, like I'm gonna, and so like it never held me back from getting on stage. But the problem is that it just manifested and manifested and manifested every single year over the years, and it held me back in different ways of going forward with my career. And then eventually it started to affect my relationships, and I kind of had a meltdown, you know what I mean? And I had to seek therapy and stuff. So my connection to it is that my personal story, and obviously it's a lot deeper and more detailed than that, but my personal connection is through that. And I in a world where we are pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, people are dying because they're not talking about the way that they're feeling, and they're not talking about these serious issues. And so I'm saying, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to open up the conversation, because that's going to make other people brave enough to open up their conversation too. And then people are going to start connecting, and they're not going to die anymore, and they're going to start healing themselves. And it's a long journey. Like, I'm not suggesting that when you talk about it, you're going to be all good. It's a multi-pronged approach.
It's something that you work on. Like it's like a project on yourself that's continually. Right. I almost associate it with like an addiction type of thing. Like even if you haven't had a drink in a really long time, every day you're recovering.
That is a great way to put that. That's very true.
It's something that, like, I think about 6 years ago, I would say I was in the worst place mentally that I've ever been in my entire life, and I was in a really, really, really dark place. And I know now, like years later, that I'm in a way better place. But what I realized then was that, like, I was covering, and I was like, I know I was doing okay, and like you, I would be able to not quote unquote get on a stage, but continue to put up a front, like continue on with life. I was no one would ever have known anything, but then it got to a point where it was too much, and that's the point where I shouldn't have ever gotten there if I was just honest with not only myself but like the people around me. Because whenever someone would ask me, like, are you okay, like, how are you doing, and I'm like, yeah, like, I'm fine. And I realized I got really really good at faking okay, and that scared me.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
over like the past couple of years, even like in like society and like on TV, it's been really great, I think, to see kind of like that dialogue shift.
Yes.
Where there
Yes.
used to be a really big stigma and taboo around people who, I guess, it's like mental health issues, right? Like
Yeah.
it falls under that umbrella, and I think it's
Yeah.
been great that people have been a little bit more honest about it. It's like more people than you think
Yeah.
have issues.
Oh my God, tons.
We all do.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And the stigma around it is like the biggest. That's why
That's-
people aren't talking about it. It's like it's always been this thing that's perceived like us and them, like the healthy and the unwell. You know what I mean? And it's like this anxiety disorder or this depression or whatever it is can affect even ADD, you know what I mean? Because that can just be caused by too much overwhelming emotion, and so you can't concentrate, you know what I mean? But it's like that can affect, it's a continuum. It can affect any single person at any time, depending on their circumstances and depending on how much trauma they have in their past. You know what I mean? It can also be healed in most people. I'm not going to say everyone because I don't know, but I mean, it can also be healed with the right approach, and that might be several methods, but you know,
Is that
there's a lot of
something
hope.
you like when with your coaching program that you're thinking like what's the general idea for that?
Yeah, I mean, I wanna use my performance anxiety as sort of and how I overcame that, and my personal anxiety and how I overcame that as sort of a guide to sort of show my credibility, as it were, because I have obviously over 10,000 hours of performing, so I kind of know how to like rein it. You know what I mean? I know how to rein it in at this point. But I also want to use my health and wellness expertise to sort of give the tools that people need in order to help themselves as they go along in the journey. Because it's a breathing exercise might not stop you from having an anxiety attack, but it will help. It will help you from at least not spiraling into a further darker place when it's happening. You know what I mean? But my whole process around that will be a mixture of probably webinars, writing, some sort of a written description, breath exercise, meditation techniques, and kind of step by step how to start to address, accept, and overcome your anxiety.
I think that's awesome.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Still working away, but
I think it's awesome. I think it's important and definitely needed in a world.
I agree.
In a world where people like to be, as much as we are the most open like time in our entire lives, there's still
Right.
so many people who have so much stuff that's in the dark, and I think it's important to have these tools and different available options for people to talk about it and be honest with themselves and help other people, because once you realize that you're not you always feel when you're going through anxiety, you're like, I'm the only
one.
person, like no one will understand me.
Yeah.
But then if you
Yeah.
have a conversation with someone, they're like, wait, no, I've felt like that too.
Yeah, right.
And just even like that connection with someone else to know that you're not like alienated is really, really, really important.
oh my God, it's huge.
I think that's how I first became like connected to you, was because I came up to you to talk to you, and just at break or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And that's when you said right away, you had said about how you used to suffer from anxiety and whatnot, and how you're working on that. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
You just taught for the last 3 hours.
Right.
And you were amazing. Like, you
Right.
have a great voice, just everything's normal. Like, what are you talking about?
Totally true.
And that's when you brought it up and said that, and I'm just like, I had absolutely no idea. But it's funny because when you walked in, remember how you said, when I walked in and I saw all you guys in a crowd, and I remember recognizing you went straight for the cafe.
That's right.
And got your coffee, and I remember thinking to myself, like, oh gosh, what's, like, is she gonna come say hi? Like, what is this all about?
Right.
But it was like literally like seconds later, you came over and you said hello to all of us, and you said you had to make that a point, so that you were comfortable.
Right. I had to orientate. Yeah.
Exactly. And you knew those steps and those keys of what you need
So
to
like
do.
you're like a coping thing, like something.
Yeah, like I saw them and immediately I was intimidated, and like she's saying, how the hell are you intimidated? You're a performer, you're a coach, you're a speaker, like
you're in front of people
all the time. But I saw them, that's that. I'm like,
Right.
I go to the thing, I get it, I don't even drink coffee, but I remember it took me 4 days to get through that flipping coffee. Seriously, it took me 4 days to get through, this is what I mean. Caffeine and me. It was like,
I know you were saying that before we started recording. Like caffeine in me is like a no.
Yeah, like I don't think you know how serious it is though. Like it's like literally that coffee took me 4 days to get through. and I was pumped every single like quarter of it, you know.
Got this.
Absolutely.
But so here I am, I'm ordering my coffee, but the reason I did that first and foremost was just to collect myself, to kind of peripherally see like what's going on in my side mirrors and my rear view, you know what I mean? And that's to orientate, just to get comfortable so that I can build up the courage to then go shake hands, look in people's eyes and say, hi, like I'm Janey, you know? But if I had overridden that, it would have made me lose control a little bit. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have been in control. I might have like maybe like fluffed up my feathers too much and given the wrong impression, or I might have been a little bit colder or sterner when I was shaking hands, you know. But that made me comfortable in my skin. And you're absolutely right. If people can start to understand, it all comes down to self-awareness. If they can start to understand who they are and what they need, you know, and understand themselves, they can put themselves in the best situation regardless of how much pain or suffering or anxiety that they're going through. You know?
I think that's great. You recognized it and you knew what to do for it.
It took a long time.
And it's funny though, because I'm the opposite. I'm ready to like get right in there and be like, hey guys, what's going on? But then in our class, and I know I told you about this, at the very last day, we had to teach part of what we had learned. And everybody else is yoga instructors, and I am totally not. And so to verbally say what I had to do, I'm not used to it. I had no idea what I was doing. And me, I grew up being a speaker. Like I won awards for speaking, and I'm not afraid of being in front of a crowd. It's not about that. But I've always been good at everything I do. Like I've succeeded and been good at everything I do. So this is one thing that I know I'm not going to be good at, and I got up there and I was shit.
She was so upset.
Oh, I was so upset.
Yeah,
but it's so funny because I still remember you looking at me and it was like you were trying to calm me down, just being like, dude, it's okay. Like you're going to be fine. Like just keep going through it. And like it was horrible. I could not wait till it was finished. But I went home that night and studied my ass off because I knew that like if I didn't have that point, I probably would have been like, sweet, that was a great course. Like, let's carry on.
But
it's not every single day. Like, I wake up at 6 a.m. and, like, I am doing that yoga. And, like, I'm still working on it.
So pumped for you.
Yeah, and I'll get there for sure. Because I am good at everything that I do. I will get there. But this one is going to take longer. But it's funny how I had no idea that, like, I wasn't good at it, so it was going to be terrible. And so then I got anxious and, oh, my God, I cried. And, like, it was terrible.
But you know what? It wasn't as terrible as you think. In your head, you're just like, it wasn't perfect because you didn't have it memorized. Whereas speech and a public speaking, like that's all memorization. You know what I mean? Absolutely. That was the only thing that was missing. And honestly, you can't possibly have that a level of memorization in a 40-hour packed, crammed course. You know what I mean? By the end of it, you're supposed to remember all that, like by memorization. Like no, you know what I mean?
It's exactly what I told her. I was like, you're being way too hard on yourself. Like it probably was. She's like, no. She's like, I was a disaster.
Like if you were in the world championship for memorizing shit, you would have blown. Okay, but that's not what this is. Like that's the thing. Is like know the goal of like of the activity and in that regard, you killed it. You know,
just starting out.
But anyways, I'm
proud of you, by the way.
Knowing, and it's knowing those things that,
because next time you might not freak out on yourself because you know.
Because I'll just be like, look, guys, I'm going to suck at this because I've never done it before. And I'm just putting that out there, and I would be calmer, I think, and then I would have been able to go through it. You know, but I just like expected that I'd be great at it, and I expected everybody else to be crappy too, right? But everybody else was amazing, so then that's when I started to get anxious. Like, oh shit, no, they're good. Like they've taught this before. I didn't realize that.
But that's and then I mean obviously we can go on and on because like it's again like the yoga instructors have a different way of and choreographers and stuff, they have a different way of memorizing like moves, you know what I mean? And so but they didn't necessarily have like the cues, you know what I mean, like the sports cues and all, but I'm just saying like everybody has a different way of learning, but also your history, like you said, you know, there's teachers like they know like in their head they can translate like that posture into like whatever Virendra, like you know what I mean, and just sequence it in their head, and so it's easier for them, you know. But no, I thought you kicked ass for what it was, though.
You're hearing it straight from her.
For what it was, you know. You've never been a teacher, like you know what I mean. Like you're a teacher in your own way, but like
you did good, kid.
Thanks, love.
You've done good.
That's so cute.
You've done good.
Well, no, I'm excited for all the stuff you're doing too.
No,
so I think it'll help.
You
people,
have
thanks.
Oh my God.
Is great. You have a good personality for that. So.
Sweet.
And you're like a really easy. Another thing too is like people, if you are going to open up, when you do, it's really important to open up to someone who you feel is going to be receptive. And like even from here, just like you're really. This is literally, guys, the first time I've ever met Janey, and you're just so easy to talk to and open and honest, and I think that's going to lend really well to you. You're already a teacher, but in that next kind of journey with everything, I think it's going to be good.
Thank you. I feel the same about you. I feel completely at home. I feel like I've known you like a long time. It's
Oh,
crazy.
great. And with my podcast, I always try, I've been kind of tardy with it in the last like 3 episodes, but I try to leave off with either a quote written by myself that I feel is relevant to the podcast, but I found a quote by you.
No way.
A statement by you that I thought was really cute and befitting. And it says, I'm constantly discovering more potential in myself, physically, mentally, spiritually. Every day and in every way, I grow stronger, wiser, and more capable of surpassing my greatest aspirations. I thought that was, I know, right?
That just melted my heart.
Yeah.
I'm putty right now.
I thought that was like super special and just like a really great reminder for everyone to kind of keep in mind. So I loved it, and
thank you so much.
I loved you, and I loved this, and I thought this was great. David's tea, you always holding it down, holding very down, and just you're for people again who want to learn more. You have an official website.
Yeah,
So.
I do have two. I have 2 websites. So
Okay.
if they want to,
Yeah.
music is over here, fitness is over here.
Give us the Rolodex.
Yeah, so JaneyBrown.com is the musical aspect, my music career. You can learn all about my bio and find my music and videos on that. And then JaneyBrownLifestyle.com is my fitness and wellness path, and you can learn about my bio and stuff like that on there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just JANEY Brown, like the color.com, or Janey Brown Lifestyle.
Yeah. And Michelle, where can we find you online?
Oh gosh, I got a few things going on.
Yeah. She's like, you don't even
A
know.
few things I'm working on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Michelle's a work in progress, so I will.
Aren't we all?
Maybe I'll link you to her Instagram a little bit later. And for me, if you guys are just new to the podcast, again, thank you so much for listening. You can find the podcast on SoundCloud and on iTunes under Tea Time with Tay. You can also find my everything else on my website at TaylorLNWrites.com and on Instagram mainly at TaylorLN_Writes. Thank you both, Michelle, Janey, for being
My
here
pleasure.
today. I thought this
Thanks,
was
Val.
really great and cute, and I just it was just fun.
This is so
Let's do
awesome.
it again.
I'm super pumped about it.
Honestly,
I'm very
anytime,
pumped.
and just I always got tea, and I always got something to say.
So every Thursday? Or?
Every Thursday, so it's going to be
Sounds
a weekly
good to
thing.
me.
Well,
So
again, thank you guys so much for listening, and remember to just stay positive and always be authentically you. And until next time, goodbye.